I'm trying to reach out to a wonderful man of God that I totally love and adore, because this is a man who has a message for the fathers during this time. And let me see if I can get through to him. But just in case you're tuning in, welcome. This is RFM 99.9, and we are live right now on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, and we just want to have this conversation on fatherhood. So that we can be able to celebrate our fathers. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. If you're a father, you're listening to me this morning, I want to let you know we salute you right here on the Spice Show. The whole of this month we have been celebrating fathers. We've been celebrating the men, and these are people who God has placed in our lives for this purpose, for this time, for a reason and a purpose. And it is important for us to celebrate them. And there's something a man of God always says, and I think I have him on the phone. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
Mimi niko salama kabisa. Welcome to the Spice Show.
Thank you.
Yes, and today we are celebrating Father's Day.
Yes.
And first of all, allow me to say Happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, on phone with me right now is Pastor Simon Degwa. He is my father in the faith. He's my father in spirit. And I'm talking to him today, and we are on the segment called This Week's Reflection. So, Pastor Degwa.
Yes, please.
I would love for you to share with us a little bit about what does fatherhood mean?
Wow. That's a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that right from the beginning of time,
Mm-hmm.
fatherhood was supposed to offer direction.
Mm-hmm.
A father is a progenitor. He is the beginning.
Mm.
And in God's heart, that's why he's called God the Father,
Mm.
a father is supposed to be the source.
Mm.
In other words, in every generation, because it is the father who carries the seed,
Mm.
it is the father who passes on
Mm.
the genes that go to the next generation.
Mm.
That happens in the physical, and it should also happen in the spiritual.
Wow.
So fatherhood is that cover that is God-given to help every succeeding generation to be able to rise up to the level of the preceding generations.
Wow. It's supposed to help every generation to rise up to the level of the preceding generation.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow,
and
wow.
And the marking scheme is the first human father, Adam. So you don't use the marking scheme of just the next generation father, because many have failed.
Yes.
The marking scheme is the original blueprint, original God's blueprint. That's where we expected to measure up to.
And a quick question. The whole of this month on this show, I have been celebrating men. My theme for the whole month is just men.
Yes.
And there has been a fight, a battle pertaining, against the men in our society.
Yes.
Why do you think that is so?
This is a plan. It was a war plan right from the beginning. And it's a plan by the enemy. When Eve and Adam sinned, God's promise was that the seed of the woman would crush the head of the serpent.
Yes.
At that point, the boy child, as we call him, and the devil became enemies.
Yes.
So it's been the enemy's agenda to crush the boy child. And so even if you look in history, every time there was war, it was the men who were killed.
Yes.
And the boy children. But the women were always taken.
Yes.
Because once they are taken, the children now they will bear from their captors do not have the genes of where they came from. So even during the time of Jesus and every other time in history.
Yes.
So the reason there is so much war against a man is that because this is a long-term plan by the enemy. And the long-term plan is to destroy the man, destroy the family. Because if you destroy the family, the church is destroyed, the nations are destroyed.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Wow. And on the contrary, on the other side, we talked about when you destroy the man, the nation is destroyed, the church is destroyed.
Yes.
What happens now when we celebrate the men? What now happens?
One of the things that is supposed to happen
Yes.
is that we need to put in a lot of effort now to build the boy child. And by building the boy child is not building the boy child at the expense of the girl child.
Yes.
Because what has happened in the last 30 years is that we have built the girl child at the expense of the boy child.
Yes.
And for the men to rise to their position, there needs to come out men who knows God's marking scheme on a man. And we raise a generation of boys who can become men after God's own marking scheme.
Men after
Because the
God's
marking
own
scheme, yes, because the marking scheme of the world is different.
Yes.
And the marking scheme of the world
Yes.
is it flows with what the enemy wants.
Yes.
So men become violent, men become drunkards, men become brutal. That is the marking scheme of the world. But the marking scheme of God is different.
Wow.
Where the man needs to stand in his position as the provider, the protector, and the priest.
The provider, protector, and the priest.
Yes.
Wow. And there is a gap in today's society.
Yes.
There is a part where men have not taken their place in being the provider, the protector, and the priest. What can you talk, as you're talking right now, I want you to talk to men and tell us what do we need to do to get back to this position, to take back our position right now? Because as we are looking at the society right now, we are seeing, because of us not taking our place, the women have gone ahead and taken that place. They've filled up that gap of being the provider, the protector, and the priest, So what can we do now as men to be able to get that position back?
Maybe I would not want to get into that first without having the context. 30 years ago, actually 32 years to be precise.
Yes.
33 in Beijing, 1988. When we had that first World Global Women's Meeting.
Yes.
And the agendas were set, and there was an agenda set to empower the girl child. So like I said before, is that we have empowered the girl child at the expense of the boy child. By doing that,
yes,
what has happened is that systematically,
yes,
men have been pushed to the periphery.
Yes.
One of the facts that is not being mentioned is that under 40, on average, the woman is more empowered, more educated, more money than man, especially in our country.
Yes.
That is a fact. So for man to get back to that position,
yes,
a number of things need to happen.
Yes.
One of them, which is to build them up to God's marking scheme. And number two, allowing the boy child to explore who they are.
Allowing the boy child to explore who they are.
Who they are. And to build in the community structures to help them. Because it does not matter how much information we might give them, if the community structures are still broken,
yes,
we will have a challenge. Number two,
yes,
for the men, especially the fathers today,
yes,
if you have a son with you,
yes,
you have two responsibilities. Responsibility number one is build them to become man after God's own marking scheme. You might not be that man,
yes,
but you can model that man to them in word and in deed.
In word and in deed.
By number one, accepting where you have failed. As they grow up, you get to a place now you can tell them, if I didn't do this, this would not have happened. Accept your failure. So build them, empower them, and bring them up to become that man after God's own marking scheme. Number two is to save your own space.
Save their own space.
Save your own space. Learning from your own mistakes.
Yes.
Ensure that your son does not go down the same route you went. So if you missed out on education, ensure they get education. If you missed out on investment, ensure they get the investment. Whatever you missed out on, now that you are older and wiser,
Yes.
figure out a way of ensuring that your son does not go down the same road.
Wow.
So if men did that, we build the spiritual part of the boy to become a man after God's own marking scheme.
Yes.
And use our experiences to help them become better than we already are.
Wow.
Because one of the ways that men will get back to their positions of authority, to be able to do the three things that I said,
Yes.
for them to be a priest, their relationship with God has to be good. For them to be protectors, their emotional person, their soul has to be right.
Yes.
For them to be providers, their bodies have to be okay. So you see, it is a triune model. So just like man is triune, the body, the soul, and the spirit.
Yes.
So each of the three offices, the provider, the protector, and the priest, covers each of the three areas. And so those are things that need to be worked on and built.
Yes.
Maybe in a later program we can come and talk about those three in length.
I would love that, sir. I would love for you to be here. But I
You're
want to really appreciate you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us. I believe those are key things that we need to know, even as we celebrate our fathers today. And
Yes.
maybe even as I let you go, one last message you have for my listeners, for me, even as we celebrate Fathers Day, what is in your heart concerning this day?
I would want to say men are not celebrated as they should be. So I want to challenge everyone listening to me this day. The fathers in your life, whether they are your physical fathers, your spiritual fathers, or other men that you consider people of authority, wish them a happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Let them know they mean something. Number two, let the community stop pulling down men.
Wow.
Whether at the family level, at the church level, or at the community level, let us stop putting down men, especially those of us in the church.
Yes.
They should know that the scriptures are very clear that the man is the head.
Wow.
And the scriptures say that if the shepherd is hit on the head, the flock gets scattered.
Yes.
So we should stop putting down men. But men, on the other hand, must pull up their socks.
Yes.
Working with the available opportunities to ensure that they can be able to do as much as possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
So happy Father's Day to all the men listening.
Yes.
And it is a fallacy when I hear, like on today on Father's Day, somebody saying happy Father's Day to all the men and all the women taking care of their children. We have no father women.
Yeah, true.
Those are lies. They are fallacies from the enemy.
Yes.
A father is a father. And I would also want to say to the single mothers, maybe today,
Yes.
Nobody should wish you happy Father's Day. And by God's grace, I pray that you'll be able to find a male role model for your boys.
Yes.
Look out for a male role model for your boys, because as a woman, you can never model manhood to the boy.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much, Pastor Ndego, for gracing this show with that time.
Yes.
We really bless the Lord for you. And a happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you so much, TeacherTrizah, on all my handles, on Facebook, on IG, on Twitter. TeacherTrizah Simon.
All right. I'm looking forward to having you here next month so we can talk more about everything that God will put in our spirits.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day and happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you so much. Happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is Pastor Simon Ndegwa. He's been on call with us talking about fathers. He has a powerful message on fatherhood that I would love for you to listen to, and I'm hoping to get him here next month so we can have this conversation on and on and on, because one of the things I want us to do, I want us to celebrate the fathers and the men in our lives. You are listening to The Spice Show. Let's enjoy this next song.